So you are a king. The world said so. It's the Father's good pleasure to give me the kingdom. Well, if he's going to give me the kingdom, he's going to give me himself, for he is the kingdom. Read it in the 12th chapter of Luke, the 32nd verse. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you. You don't earn it. It's unmerited. It's grace. To give you the kingdom. And when he succeeds in giving me the kingdom, he succeeded in giving me himself, for he is the kingdom. The kingdom is not a realm, as the world teaches. It is God. The character that is God, that is perfect. So wherever you are, clothed in that perfect character, everything is perfect. Everything is alive. Nothing is dead and nothing is imperfect. Wherever you are, after you receive the gift. You could walk through the petrified forest and they would all suddenly burst into blossom. Walk through the desert and the desert would bloom. In the presence of you, the perfect man, nothing can remain imperfect. And you don't do it out of compassion. You don't even do anything. Your very presence does it. So you, no matter where you are, go down into hell, and hell is transformed into heaven. Wherever you are is perfect, because you are now the king. You receive the kingdom. So I'm telling you from my own experience. You walk into a world, and the world is instantly transformed to be in harmony with the perfection that is springing within you. So I tell you, it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. That is a wonderful way of telling you, it is your Father's good pleasure to give you himself. That's how the evangelist told it in the book of Luke. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you himself. And your Father is God. And God is Jesus. Jesus is the Lord. There is no other God. But he's a Father. And because he's a Father, he has a Son. And I am telling you, in spite of the whole vast world, that Son is David, our sweet psalmist of biblical fame. And he'll stand before you, and he too will call you my Lord, my Father, the rock of my salvation. Now let us go into the silence. Good. Now, are there any questions, please? Any questions? Yes.
Can I have two for the price of one?
Yes.
In any of Blake's writings, can you tell whether or not he has received the promise?
As far as I'm concerned, meeting Blake as I have met him, in this wonderful risen world, Blake had everything described in Scripture. When you meet him, he's one of the most majestic preachers that you could meet. Let me quote, speaking of tonight's lecture, it's taken from his book, Urizen. I think it's the 7th chapter. And the dead heard the voice of the child and began to awake from sleep. All things heard the voice of the child and began to awake to life. So when God became man, he transformed death into sleep. God is infinite mercy, and man is dead. God, in becoming man, made man a living soul. He transformed death into sleep. And then, in the dream, he transformed the being himself into himself and raises him as himself. Oh no, Blake had it. But you've got to read like all things, and Blake, read between the lines, because as he said to the Reverend who criticized him, the Reverend said to him, you know, you need someone to elucidate your ideas. He said, is that so? You ought to know that which can be made explicit to the idiot isn't worth my care. That's what he was telling the wonderful Dr. Truslow. He said the ancients knew that what was not too explicit was fittest for instruction, because it arouses the faculties to act. Something that anyone can see, even the idiot. Well then, it isn't worth my care. So he told it in the way he did, causing you to dig for it. And you have to dig for it. But Blake, to me, is one of the giants, spiritual giants of the world. All the money in the world today couldn't buy one single copy that is at Yale. He left behind him 5 copies of Jerusalem. Only one he colored. It is now in Yale University under lock and key. You couldn't buy that copy today, no matter what sort of money you brought for it. You couldn't buy it. It's the only copy in the world. He left 5 copies. 4 were not colored. This is the only colored copy that Blake left behind him. It's priceless.